Well, hello, I've got a few questions for Daniel in this ongoing video series, and of course everything in this video is again my humble opinion, and please Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong on anything that I state. Now, as we sort of head into the squalls as you described, with our ships in convoy, in your speech where you blasted the British Prime Minister, you know, I've got some questions here about things that are going on. First of all, let's talk about the EU. Now, you're an MEP, a member of the European Parliament, and you're a member, I believe, of the European Union as an MEP. And I'm wondering, are you trying to change the European Union from the inside, and you're for the European Union with reforms, or are you actually against the European Union in that it should be dismantled? I'm not clear on that. You see, if you're working inside to try and change things, you really can't be 100% against it, or can you? And you all in your book, which you are selling online, which can be downloaded, I believe, bought and downloaded, or sold, and you can order it in paperback. I think one of your excerpts, you state that you'd rather have some kind of a Swiss-style trade, where Britain trades in a manner, in the Swiss style, with the rest of Europe and the world now. But at the same time, if they do that, are you saying that Britain should not be part of the EU, or they still should be? So again, and then if you're saying that it shouldn't be part of the EU, are you still saying that the EU should exist even though Britain isn't a part of it? Or are you saying that the EU should still be a part of, or the Britain should still be a part of the EU, but in a Swiss style, in a form different? You know, it's so confusing where you stand on this. Are you for the EU and they should exist in a different form? Are you for the EU as it is? Or are you against the EU and you want to abolish it? That's one question. The second thing is, when we talk about the EU and countries giving up their currency for the euro, I mean, there's a devaluation not only of the currency but the country. For a country to give up its currency, so I'm not saying you're for or against the euro, but which is it? I'm sure you've stated it somewhere, but I'm still unclear on that. The other thing is, it seems to me that with this Obama thing, where you said that you were grudgingly for him back in October of 2007, but you said your wife is against him, and then on your blog in, I believe, March 22nd or 23rd, that you said that regarding Obama, you still have to wait and see. You haven't taken a stance whether to say that now are you actually for him or against him, or still grudgingly for him or grudgingly against him, or you've made a mistake. And of course, I don't know if you want to admit you made a mistake. Do you believe you haven't made a mistake and we'll wait and see? Is this wait and see thing sort of a thing where you're afraid that perhaps if you admit to making a mistake, that could affect the book sales? Or am I totally off base on that? You know, it's very hard for a politician to ever admit they made a mistake, because then once they say I made a mistake, then all their other decision making becomes questionable, doesn't it? I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to do. It seems to be sort of a conflict in different stances, in my humble opinion. Now, the other thing, you know, we talk about the EU and the not only the structure, which the EU in its own essence devaluates the sovereignty of every nation, no matter even if it's reformed. Why can't countries just keep their own currency and trade amongst themselves without having another organization? I mean, even if it's a so-called legitimate organization, the fact that the organization makes decisions aside from the individual countries, it seems to take away the individuality and the power of any individual country, no matter what form. And the fact that you're working from the inside out and haven't come clear on exactly what your stance is regarding the EU, it's very, very confusing. And the fact that you decided to blast the British Prime Minister at this point, right after the book came out, and not too long after you grudgingly endorsed Obama, and now you're going on all the talk show circuits, and and I understand that there's millions of people that are saying, oh, it was a wonderful speech and everything, but to me it's still so confusing. I think on one of your talk show appearances, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was on Cavuto the other day, and I'm not sure. I watched you on so many, I'm getting confused on which one you're on. But anyway, I think it was him that asked you about this grudging endorsement of Obama, and you ended up going on and on and on, and of course you weren't quite as well spoken in that interview as you were when you blasted the British Prime Minister. But anyway, you came up with and ended with saying something, well, at least all in all, one of the good things, I don't know the exact quote, but something about all in all, one of the good things is at least it's united the Republican Party. So that is, I mean, really, Daniel, sometimes it might be just better to say, I made a mistake. But of course, if you say that, and again, I went into that. So you see, as one viewer here, I'm very confused about your stances and your words and your actions and what you're involved with, and I'd really like just a little bit more clarity. And sometimes just yes, oh no, or yes, I endorse that person, oh no, I don't, or I endorse that person but I made a mistake. Or sometimes just being in an organization, and even if you're in it, just say, look, this organization isn't working, let's dismantle it. But of course, if you're taking a salary inside the organization, that's hard to do. I understand that, but sometimes it's just better to say those things. I mean, I realize the world is not just black and white. I understand that. But sometimes there's just right and wrong, and there is yes and no. This idea of maybe, and sort of having one foot in the hot water and one in the cold water, and one in the lukewarm water, and a hand over here and a hand over there. It almost appears that you've got a few hands in many different cookie jars. This type of thing, sort of having the bases all covered. It just seems to me to be somewhat contradictory. I don't know. I just wish we had some more clarity on this, Daniel, and I wish you to really clear things up for me at least. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't understand what I do, and I would just like to understand it a little more. Ta-ta, and I'll get back to you.